To order, the time is 6:02 of the Board of Trustees. Can we please go to the first agenda, which is to call roll.
Trustee Barnes? Trustee Barnes?
Here.
Trustee Borrego?
Here.
Trustee Mendoza? Ms. Mendoza did call in and said she will not be able to attend today's meeting. Mr. Rodriguez?
Present.
Ms. Cimentan?
Here.
I'm sorry, Ms. Straub?
Present.
And Ms. Zuniga? Here.
Okay. And is there one or two students, or maybe a couple, that would join us for to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge? Some of the students? Pablo and Choco. There we go, come on. Come join us. Wait.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Good job, you guys. Good job.
Next, we'll have the CISD vision and mission statement, and Ms. Barnes, if you could, as well as Ms. Straub, you could do the vision, Ms. Barnes, and Ms. Straub lead us in the mission statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Our vision is Canadeo ISD is the premier district. We lead today to positively impact tomorrow. Mission, Canutillo ISD supports and embraces diversity and multicultural society. Our school community thrives in a safe, engaging, and inclusive learning environment. We provide equitable opportunities to ensure our future-ready students are inspired to explore, learn, grow, and excel. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you to both of you. That will take us to board honors, and at this time I'll hand it over to Gustavo Rodriguez.
Mr. Rodriguez, members of the board, and Dr. Galadis, we will start board honors with a couple of performances by student musicians from Canutillo High School who are being recognized tonight. First, we will hear a performance from Canutillo High School flute soloist Angelica Ornelas, followed by a vocal performance by her classmate, Billy Garcia. Dr. Ramos.
Hello everyone, my name is Angelica Ornelas and I will be playing Sirens by Claude Debussy. Alejandra Garcia. I'm currently a senior at Canapio High School, and today I will be performing Ole Meu Dochador by Gluck. Stand by.
If the board please join us in front of the dais to begin our recognitions, please.
Yes, very cool.
As you can see, the fine arts are having a moment here in Canapio ISD, and our student musicians are at the forefront of that movement. Topping the great marching season would be a hard thing to beat, but members of the CISD School of Music have done it again. This year, an unprecedented 10 Canapio High School students showed talent and prowess at the UIL Regional Solo and Ensemble Competition by earning a first division rating and qualifying for the state competition later this spring. Tonight, we recognize those students. Please help us congratulate Colin Lawrence, trumpet solo. Julio Gonzalez, trumpet solo. Angelica Ornelas, flute solo. Sarah Sanchez, voice. Julia Hoover, voice. Esteban Aguilera, voice. Lily Garcia, voice. And Julio Castro, voice. Also headed to stage is a brass ensemble made up of Colin Lawrence at trumpet, Julio Gonzalez at trumpet, Azalea Rocha at French horn. She here? No. Rodrigo Castro at trombone. And Atticus Ramos at tuba. Two other students also earned a Division I rating at regional. Leila Vasquez at clarinet, and Brandon Lara at the euphonium. The students are under the direction of band director Dr. Latino Ramos,
Congratulations.
choir director Guillermo Adame, and assistant band director Adam Castañeda. Could they please join us up here as well, please? Hey, can we set up for a photo, please?
There you go. Perfect. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
And could any other parents who are here please stand up and be recognized for the great job that you've done? Congratulations to all of you guys and good luck at state. The talent for music in Canapillo ISD does not stop at the high school level. Our middle school students are showing talent and promise, which bodes well for the future of our programs here at the district. This year, an impressive 8 students from Alderete Middle School's Honor Choir program were awarded all-region honors by the Texas Music Educators Association. To qualify, the students prepared for months and auditioned in front of a panel of music experts, who deemed them to be among the best performers in the board. Please help us congratulate the AMS All-Region Choir Performance. Evelyn Aguilar. Alexa Alvarez. Esther Garcia. Ubaldo Leiva. Alexa Moriel. Alejandro Ortiz. Itzel Ramos. And Alondra Renteria. The students are under the direction of Ms. Alejandra Martinez Pedraza. Could we sit up for a photo, please? And Ms. Avila, I believe you're in the house now?
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Got it?
Once again, if any parents are here in the crowd, please stand up and be recognized for the job you've done. Congratulations. Lastly tonight, the board recognizes one of its own. Student advisor Aitiana Mondragon, a senior at Northwest Early College High School, is a natural-born leader. Those qualities, along with her outstanding academic talents, led the University of Texas at El Paso to award her one of its most prestigious honors, the UTEP Presidential Scholarship. The scholarship is a full-ride scholarship to UTEP for the next 4 years, worth around $32,000. Congratulations, Tatiana, and go Griffins. Mr. Clark.
Fernando. Dora.
And her parents.
Yeah. Come on. Come on, allá. No quiere.
No, dice que no.
Felicidades.
I think I blinked.
Congratulations.
Mr. Rodriguez, members of the board, Dr. Galaviz, this concludes this month's board.
It's always good to see our kids doing good work, and not only in school but out in the community. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate the hard work that our teachers, staff, and our students be able to accomplish. So thank you. At this time, Dr. Galaviz has requested executive session item because it's going to be real short. If that's okay with the board. We'll go into the executive session real quick to address this item and then come back out. There's no objections and...
Yes.
We have a yes.
The yes one first.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Which one?
It's the
ending the
proclamation. Ending proclamation.
Okay. You want me to move that item on?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Sheriff, is possible 5C.
Okay.
Thank you so
Is that
much.
okay with the rest of
The board?
Yeah? Okay. Can you, please, please say the agenda item for the record, sorry.
Yes, sir. Item 5C, resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Canantillo Independent School District, designation of February as End the Silence Month in partnership with the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Presenter Ms. Blanca Trapp.
Thank you. And I would like to start by presenting and acknowledge to Mr. Isidro Torres. Please come to the front. And he is Executive Director of NAMI. Also, thank you, NAMI, for allowing me to be certified national. So thank you so much, Mr. Isidro, for all the work that you have done here. He would like to give some words, and then we're going to read the proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Rodriguez, trustees, Superintendent Dr. Benavides, Trustee Chow, community. Thank you so much for the support and the resolution. Our work with Canopio and Ending the Silence in bringing awareness to mental health began in 2019 prior to the pandemic, where we were able to offer Ending the Silence program to so many of your students. And Ending the Silence is a 50-minute presentation where we talk to students about the warning signs of mental health conditions, the importance of having these conversations, and how to ask for them help for themselves and for a friend. Little did we know that less than maybe 2 years later we would enter into the pandemic that would have negative impacts on the behavioral health of so many youth. We know that post-pandemic, there was a 51% increase hospital admissions of young girls for suicide attempts. And suicide rates continue to increase, and the impact of mental health continues to hit our students hard. And so we're very grateful for the board, Dr. Benavides, and his team for their partnership in being able to offer Ending the Silence to the students and also to the faculty. We've been able to present to faculty and teachers prior to the school year over the past few years, and it has been a wonderful partnership. Our seed post-pandemic has been Together for Mental Health, because not one agency, not one person, not one school district will be able to address the impacts that are being had on youth mental health. And so we are very grateful for this partnership. We're very grateful for Trustee Trump for sponsorship of this and providing the support.
Thank you. And I would like to continue. And I would like to continue to explain and extend a little bit more what is Ending the Silence program. We present this in every school district here. We are certified to present this program, Ending the Silence, what is mean, ending the suicidal thoughts in our kids, in our students. We have a inflatable brain that we bring here to the school districts. It's beautiful. Inside we put like stickers like this, so the kids, when they navigate inside the brain, they can know what's going on with them when they have depression, when they have bipolar, and when they have a suicidal thoughts. They could understand it better. By the end, when they finish to walking through the inflatable, which is a huge brain, we have people over there, people certified, like me, so we can hand out some flyers and let them know what's going on. If they have any questions, they can always address it to us. So thank you very much. Hopefully we have soon another opportunity, Dr. Benavides, to bring this brain. Oh, yes, and we could present this in middle school and high school. Also, this Saturday we have a very good training. All the trustees here, Region 19, that they train for us for suicidal and mental health. I think all of us, we have a very good idea what is this about, and I really would like to recognize them because we stay a long time from 8 to 3:30, but pretty sure all of us were trained for that, and thank you very much for this, to bring it to the table. And thank you, Mr. Isidro. Also, I would like to read a little bit of what's going on with our kids. This is a sensitive topic, and I would like to provide a trigger warning in advance. Ending the silence. Generally, people don't talk too much about mental health. This illness cannot be seen through a microscope or an MRI, but is often detected by behavioral aspects. Mental illness or disorders impact mood, thoughts, and feelings. A child's behavior is not a conscious choice. As a parent, we wonder, how can I stop this? How can I help my kid? A child behavior, also by Dr. Leanne Wilson, a child adolescent psychologist and author of the book, We Need to Talk. It's a book that I really recommend all the parents to read it so they could understand what's going on with their child's mental illness. He provides tools and recommendations in how to understand our children in moments of crisis. It was shown that confinement, such a COVID pandemic, children lost 18 months of social development. And at this time, unfortunately, they go to several social networks and they lead them to all kinds of pressures. And it's hard to tell when behavior is defiant of typical adolescent hormones. Paying close attention, it no longer shows enthusiasm or interest in something that are passionate about. If the child's mood is changed, if they eat or spend excessive time in their room, sleep a lot, if their performance in school has gone down, if they think that people will be better off without them, don't hesitate and reach out for help. It will be a good decision to take them to a doctor for some emotional cognitive behavioral therapy. The statistics shows now that in 2023, suicide is the second leading cause of death among people from 10 to 24 years old, finding cases of early age of 5 years old. U.S. teen girls experience an increased sadness and violence of suicidal attempts that might be associated with feelings of stress, self-doubt, pressure to succeed, financial uncertainty, disappointment, and loss. The second most frequent mental disorder among the children and adolescents is depression, being the first conduct disorder. Approximately 15% of the child and adolescent population have symptoms of depression during childhood, and it appears more frequently in girls than in boys. In the United States, nearly 20% of high school students report serious thoughts of suicide, and 9% have made an attempt to take their lives, according to the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Hospital admissions reports girls who may have attempted suicide have increased 50% nationwide, reporting that Texas do not have sufficient mental health resources to help them. That's why we went federal and Texas level to request that allotment needs to be put in mental health. So we need to pursue that. And in some parts of the country, the waiting time for the first evaluation is from 1 month to a year, dependent on the circumstances. And only a very small portion receives adequate treatment, mainly because depression in adolescents do not show same symptoms as the signs as adults, which is why it's masked and is very confusion to be detected. Next, if someone would like to take note, this is going to be very, very important signs that I'm going to give you. I will provide some resources, but it will be very helpful. These are some apps that you could download it for free. For anxiety, Mind Shift. For PTSD, PTSD Coach. For suicide awareness, Better Stop Suicide. Calm Harm. It is an application that helps the adolescents to control the impulse of self-harm. For stress relief, Take a Break for Bipolar Disorder. eMoods Classic for relaxation. And Belly Bio. This is an app great that is you grab the phone, you put it in the app, and you rest it in the stomach, and it starts to sound like the ocean waves, a very nice and beautiful sound. So that's why you place it in the stomach, and it's beautiful. These are free. And there's another one that is Vysa, which is spelled W-Y-S-A. It is a secure and anonymous app that lets you talk with the penguin animated character. That this platform is designed for the kids so they don't feel safe to speak with an adult, so they could interact with the penguin, and the penguin tells them what to do. So this is a very beautiful, during they get into like in a game that they have interaction between them. This is an aid for younger people that make them feel safer talking to a robot, always under the parent of caregiver supervision, of course. These mental health apps are designed to diagnose conditions or substitute care for mental health professionals. These apps can be great support between therapy sessions or office visits. For mental health support, call NAMI 1-800-6264 or text 62640. Also text the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline to 988. National Suicide Prevention Line is 1-800-273-8285 or text 741-741. Thank you very much for your attention. That's it.
Would you
Mr.
be
Chairman.
kind to read the resolution, or
Oh,
would you
yes.
want us to have our secretary do?
Do you have the resolution over there? Would you like to read it for me?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Gonna be Independent School District Board of Trustees resolution and the Silence Month in partnership with the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Whereas 1 in 5 children's ages 13 to 18 have or will have a serious mental illness, and whereas 10% of youth have a behavior or conduct disorder, and whereas 37% of students with a mental health condition age 14 and older drop out of school, the highest dropout rate of any disability group, and whereas suicide is the second leading cause of death in youth ages 10 to 24. And whereas greater community awareness concerning mental health conditions can positively transform attitudes towards individuals with mental health conditions, making it easier for our students and parents to seek help, and whereas it is essential to eliminate disparities in mental health by promoting wellness for all, regardless of race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, language, place of residence, or age. And whereas the National Alliance on Mental Illness El Paso affiliate works every day to enrich the lives of children and teens in the greater El Paso, Texas community who cope with mental health conditions. And whereas our school district must ensure the equity of access, delivery of services, and improve student and parent engagement that ensures culturally and linguistically competent care to our diverse community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of Trustees of the San Mateo Independent School District that February 2023 shall be known as Endless Silence Month.
Motion in a second, and then we could vote on it, but I do want to talk, I'm sure for some of us, this has hit home personally, and so it's important for us to not only normalize the conversation, but to be able to address the needs early on, so that way we could address some of these in supporting our students. Not only our students, but our staff, especially after COVID, we've seen this continue to increase, and so it's important for us to look at those concerns. Gustavo, I did have a question in regards to, is there a possibility when we approve this, send it out, that also, that way our students and staff could get the resolution, and then also, I believe the information you just read, that could be included, just so that way they, and any other venues, I know there's other areas to seek help, especially our school counselors and stuff like that, but just an email surrounding that.
Certainly. What we'll do is we'll actually create a news story and post it on our social media that gets a lot of traction and a lot of interaction from our community. So we'll be able to tomorrow proclaim this, write a story about this proclamation, share it with the public, share it with the staff, and along with any resources, including so that the staff, the community, our students have access to that.
So it'll be emailed to all staff and
It
students?
can be emailed to all staff.
Okay, appreciate it. With that, can I get a motion?
Of course, and I move.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. With that, can we take a vote?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Sinistran?
Yes.
Ms. Trot? Ms. Trot?
Oh, yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, and that will take us.
Could we have you guys down here for a photo with
Yeah, that will. And then after that, we'll conclude into executive session.
Do we have any speakers on the executive session?
Monday, the other.
Do you have the resolution?
Oh, it's in the sign.
One, two. Thanks. Thank you so much.
The board will now adjourn to executive session to consult with attorneys under section 55.071, 55.072, and 55.1.074 of the Texas Government Code. The meeting is now adjourned to executive session.
She needs to read that.
6:40.
Doc, she needs to read that.
7A, discussion and recommendation from administration regarding and resignation of Camilo Middle School teacher S. Aguilar during contract term pursuant of Texas Government Code, sections 551.071 and 551.074. The time is 6:40.
The meeting for tonight is reconvened. The time is 6:52 p.m. Jumping to item number 3, open forum. Any person wishing to address the board during the period reserved for public comment at a board meeting must sign up to be heard in accordance with District Policy BED local. Each participant will be limited to 3 minutes to make comments to the board. The board is not permitted to discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on the agenda for tonight's meeting. For tonight's meeting, we have a total of 7 speakers. First speaker is Mr. John Joyner, speaking on community engagement. Mr. Joyner?
Let's go
Want to go to the next one? Next speaker is Mr. Bernardo Varela, general topic. Mr. Varela?
We'll go to the next.
Next speaker is Ms. Annette Alvarado, speaking in regards to pay raise.
Bernardo, go ahead. Or,
Mr. Jones is here.
no, let's go. Let's go with the order that. Go
The
ahead.
original order? Or,
The original order.
okay. So original order, we're starting with speaker number 1, Mr. John Joyner, speaking on community engagement.
Good evening, everybody. Honorable President, Superintendent Galaviz, the rest of the board. I spoke last month about trying to get the board to work with some of the voters in town, and I don't see yet, I'm hoping, against hope, that you guys are going to not go down the road of total opposition to what the community members want. You had an opportunity to put a third person on the board who would have some connection to the community. What we have now is you have a 5-2 supermajority, and by your policy, you can't even get items on the agenda for you to vote on so we can see where you are on record. So I'm hoping that when we need something put on the agenda, that at least 3 of the board members will listen to the community and at least put it on the agenda so we can see what your voting record is on it. If not, I would request that you change your policy so that 2 members can put an item on the agenda, because right now you have pretty much a voting block of friends and associates who are pretty like-minded. I noticed the way votes go down, they go down along the Friends and Family Plan. So I'm hoping, against hope, that you guys will see what's right for the community and engage with those of us who are engaged. I know I have children in the school district, and some people say I have no right to speak, but I get my tax bill every year, and the results of what we do in this community affect me. We should be educating our children to compete, and we're not doing it. So I'm hoping that we can work with you guys to get back on track and stop bringing some of the national policies into Canutillo. I would also hope that we get a policy in place to address, before we have the issue of adolescent biological males competing in girls' sports. We need to look at that because it's coming. And gender-neutral bathrooms and all this other stuff that we got going on. There are people who tell me I'm a dinosaur because I think there's only two kinds, boys and girls, and not 57 different genders. But the community pretty much thinks that there's two kinds, boys and girls. And so this school board needs to be in line with what the thought of the community is, not what the National Association of School Boards thinks, or the Texas Association of School Boards. We have to deal with what's local in our community. I think the Texas Association of School Boards is supposed to withdraw from the National Association of School Boards. Anyway, thank you for your time. I look forward to working with you guys in the future, and I hope we can get some work done together. Thank you.
Speaking on a general topic.
Bernardo, thank you for listening. Congratulations to Mr. Simmenthal for getting the school board seat. 10 school board candidates ran to be on the school board. Mr. Simmenthal came in last place in votes. To all the Canutillo community member applicants who applied for the open school board seat, you should be angry at those school board members who voted to appoint Mr. Simmenthal. You were never considered for the seat. One of those CISD board members who voted for Mr. Simmenthal to take the open school board seat is a local business owner. It's obvious they're not here to help the Canutillo community. I personally will not support their business any longer. Supporting their business will be supporting my own doom. I ask the school board not to waste taxpayer dollars on that local business. Looks like you're buying their school board vote. I'm getting to here and watch those school board members and administrators in deep thought on why a school bond doesn't pass. It's truly a mystery to those school board members and some administration. But before you get lost in thought and waste more taxpayer dollars, here's a hint. The school board has hired the last place school board candidate that most of the Canutillo community want represented or our children. I'd suggest to the Canutillo community wait to vote on the bond until Texas legislation is passed this year. There's going to be tax relief and parental rights to take control of your kids' education and safety and security in those Texas Senate bills. Canutillo community elderly and the elderly that are taking care of their children and grandchildren can't pay their property taxes because CIC boards continue bad choices. Canutillo community keeps hearing CISD talk about equity, not to be confused with equality. Here's an example of equity. I applied for the CISD superintendent job. I get the job because I'm taller than the current superintendent. That's equity. Here's an example of equality. I applied for the superintendent job, but I have no qualifications to be superintendent, so I don't get the job. That's equality. So don't fall for the equity argument. Be wary of those in education who use that word equity. They're not serious people and a danger to your family. Also, the Canutillo community would like to know if the school board has held Dr. Galaviz accountable for attacking community members publicly during a school board election and sabotaging the bond vote by dividing the Canutillo community with these attacks. Dr. Galaviz and his administration stunt surely doesn't represent Canutillo values. The superintendent should never try to divide or attack the community they represent. If anyone speaks with Ms. Clapsaddle, please let her know. I have an attorney for her to contact. That's not from El Paso and doesn't settle. Thank you.
Speaking on a pay raise.
Sorry, Ms. Alvarado. Apologize, but just wanted to stay within order.
Yes, sir.
Members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Galaviz. My name is Inera Alvarado. I have been with the district for 10 years in the child nutrition department as a child worker too. The reason I'm here is because I would like to address our pay status. Our department consists of 80 staff members serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner to about 6,000 students each day in 10 different campuses. We currently work 185 calendar days. Food service industry establishments are currently offering a much higher pay than we currently receive. For example, I take home about $485 semi-monthly after all deductions. And as you know, the economy has had a huge rise in the cost of living. Therefore, we are struggling. Some of us are struggling as buying eggs, paying our copay, and some of us are working 2 jobs to hold our household. We are currently struggling with keeping staff members because of the pay. For example, we have lost 3 assistant managers because they were making about $13. We enjoy serving our kids, and we love what we do. Our children have attended or currently attending Canadeo ISD, which we love because it allows us to contribute back to our community. We appreciate the 3% raise that was given to us this year, and we are seeking $1.30 for the following school year. We have gone through the proper chain of command where it previously stalled. We started with our director and then proceeded to the finance department. They both agree we can afford and sustain the raise due to a healthy fund balance. I would like to mention that our funding is separate from the district funding, and it will not affect the general fund. We ask you to please take this in consideration. Have a blessed evening, and thank you for your time. It has been an honor.
Good evening, board. Nice to meet you, new board members. Good evening, Dr. Galvez and Cabinet. Following up on Annette's speech, we are having problems retaining our employees of people because what they make, they take home. People come and immediately leave because they pay, and we hate to see people with skills leaving us. One of the situations that I can tell you is that one of my employees came last week and she told me, Rosario, I'm looking for another job because my daycare was increased by $45 this month. So now I'm paying $165 a week. And I'm only taking home $700 every 2 weeks after deductions. So I end with $370 for everything else. That's what I take. It's in my pocket every 2 weeks. So sometimes I have to pay the daycare with a credit card. So, and I don't have money to pay the credit card, so that there is interest over there that I'm paying as well. And this is only one of the situations that I can tell you, and only my school. The inflation rate is very high. Last month it was on the news that it was inflation rate by 6.4, and I guess it's going to continue to rise. And we are self-sustained. That means we don't ask the district for a penny to sustain our child nutrition program. So I ask you to give 10% to the child nutrition program increase. Thank you very much for your time and your attention.
Next speaker is Jessica Dominguez Bernal, speaking on cafe.
Board of Trustees, Dr. Ruiz, good evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Jessica Dominguez Bernal, and I am here on behalf of CAFE. Every year, CAFE has one major event that raises funds for graduating seniors of the Canutillo District. Last year, 28 recipients received scholarships of $1,000 each, and we're hoping that this year we might be able to award more. We'll be having our annual golf tournament on May 5th at Painted Dunes, and we are inviting the Board of Trustees to join us at this event. It's a lot of fun. You'll be able to witness the hard work that goes into putting these events together. But it's not just really hard work, it's a labor of love, because you get to see the community that believes in the students that are coming out of the district, and it's really beautiful that they're going to give back. I would also like to invite you all to become members of CAFE. Through these memberships, we CAFE continue to raise funds throughout the year for our students. Memberships and donations are tax deductible and can be made one time, monthly, annually, and if you're a district employee, it can also be done through payroll deductions. Depending on the membership level, you'll receive a gift as to say thank you for your donation. And there's no donation, there is no monetary donation that can make a difference. Everything counts. And with this, I would like to reach out to our newest CAFE member, Mrs. Cindy Zuniga. Thank you for your membership. And it's through membership like yours that helps us continue with our mission to help our students continue with their goals and their aspiration to attend the university. So thank you very much. Everyone that you present to with the answers.
Thank you very much.
If you're interested in the golf tournament, please by all means, you're welcome to go to the CISD website under alumni, and that's where you'll be able to find the registration form for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last speaker is Sergio Martinez, speaking on congratulations to the new board trustee.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Galaviz, for having me this evening here to talk to you about telling you thank you for serving our community. We really, really appreciate you being out there, and it's not gonna be easy. I've seen it so many times where you get up there and people look at you, talk about you, say bad things about you. Please, please, have patience with some of these people. We just saw it today. A couple of people to get up here and say negative things about our trustees, about our superintendent. I congratulate every one of you. You're doing a fantastic job. The administration is doing a fabulous job. Just keep it moving forward. They're gonna be hard decisions, but also keep in mind that you're doing it for the kids. Not for the special interests of some of these groups. You're doing it for the kids. Elementary, middle school, and high school. And guess what? I have an elementary kid, so I have an interest in this community. So please, take it to heart. Make the right decision for our kids. Congratulations. Thank you.
Jessica or Luca, because the next item.
Item 4A, presentation of the 21-22 District Annual Report. Ms. Jessica Harrison, District Business Research and Accountability Administrator.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Dr. Galaviz, Board President, and new board members, welcome to Canatio. My name is Jessica Harrison. I am the District Testing, Accountability, and Research Administrator, and I'm here tonight to present you with the district annual report. We have 7 sections to go through, and then we will have time at the end for any questions that you or anyone in the audience may have in regards to this information. All right. First and foremost, Canatio ISD received an A rating for their accountability for the 21-22 school year. If you remember, we had some years off of accountability, but 2022, because we're always a year behind when we look at the Texas Academic Performance Report, we did earn an A. Our 2022 Special Education Determination status remained unchanged from the previous year. We remain at needs assistance. Our focus areas within our special education work include increasing the STAR passing rate of our students who receive special education services in social studies at the 8th grade level, and increasing our STAR EOC passing rates for our special education students in end of course biology, English 1, and English 2. For the 21-22 school year, Canatio ISD did not receive any distinction designations. All right. This next section, this gives you the breakdown of the letter grade ratings that each one of our 10 campuses received. The majority of our campuses received either an A or a B. We had one campus, Jose Damian Elementary, that did receive a C. However, they were only 1 percentage point away from earning a B and are already well on track to doing better this year. We excelled in growth during the 21-22 school year, meaning that we did an effective job in helping close some of the learning gaps and ensuring that as we brought our students back after COVID, that their learning continued and that they performed well when we looked at our state assessments. Many of our campuses also received distinction designations. We had 4 campuses that rated in excellence in ELAR, English Language Arts and Reading. We had 4 campuses that earned a distinction designation in post-secondary readiness. We had 4 campuses that earned distinction designations in closing the gaps. And then we had some other campuses that earned designations in math, science, and social studies. We have a lot of things to be proud of in Canatio. For the 2022 school year, next slide please. For the 2022 school year, TEA did not issue accreditation ratings due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The accreditation ratings will return for the 22-23 school year. So when we do this again next year, we will have an accreditation rating. All right, district academic performance. This is a combination of how all of our students did in grades 3 through 8 on STAR. When you look at this chart, approaches grade level is considered passing, meets grade level is considered being at grade level, and then mastering grade level indicates college readiness. When you look at our scores, we are above the state average in math, science, and social studies. We fall right in average with the state in ELAR. We have continued work to do in increasing our competitiveness at the meets and masters level of all our performance ratings. All right, this next slide shows our end of course summary. Our end of course exams are those exams that our students must pass at the high school level in order to be eligible for graduation. We excel in Algebra 1 EOC. We have many students who are taking Algebra 1 at the middle school level. This year, of all the students that took Algebra 1 at the middle school level, 100% of our students passed. If you look at our Algebra 1 scores across the district, we are exceeding the state and the region.
We're on the wrong slide.
Oh no.
Okay, go back one.
Go back one, right
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, these are end of course exams. So when you look at that, there are 5 end of course exams. Like I said, Algebra 1 is definitely an area of excel for us, but we remain competitive in all other 4 areas. Okay, next slide. Should be bilingual. Alright. This slide shows us the current progress of our students who are considered emergent bilingual. These are our students who are learning the English language. This is their performance on state assessments combined. So it's all of our students together, all of our students who are considered emergent bilingual, and you can see how they did in English language arts, and then how they did in mathematics, how they did in science, and how they did in social studies. All grade levels are combined on this graphic. This next slide, this is district academic growth. If you remember back to the 2021 school year, the STAR testing that took place in spring of 2021, parents were given the opportunity to opt out. Testing still occurred, however, if parents were apprehensive to send their students to school for testing, they were able to keep them home. So when we look at our 2022 academic performance, our growth was measured solely on the students who took a STAR test in spring of 2021 and our students who took a STAR test in spring of 2022. We had one of the highest participation rates in our area. We had 82% of our children participate in STAR in 2021. So these growth measures show exactly how that 82% of students did when we look at how they performed from 2021 to 2022. The bottom line there is our pre-pandemic growth from 2019. So you can see pre-pandemic, our district growth in English language arts was at 67%. From 2021 to 2022, our growth was measured at 82%. 82% of our students are making growth. In math, we went from 69% in 2019 to 75% of our students in 2022. And what that means is that those students did the same or better on the STAR test that they took in 2022. In all grades for both subjects, we were at a 68% growth in 2019, pre-pandemic, and then for 2022, we were at 78% achieving growth. All right, for assessment participation. So as I stated before, in 2021, we had 82% of our students that participated in the state required assessments. For 2022, we were at 99%. We did still have some students who were ill and unable to come in and test, but we came very close to the 100% mark. In 2021, there was an option to mark students who were absent as other. So that's why you'll see a 0% in the absenteeism for 2021, but in 2022, we had 1% of students absent. The bottom line there, we are looking at our accelerated testers. When a student takes an end of course exam at the middle school level, so like our students who are taking Algebra 1 at 7th or 8th grade level, when they take that course at the middle school level, they are then considered an accelerated tester. And what TEA, the state of Texas, asks us to do with them is we have to make sure that they take an ACT or an SAT before they leave our district in high school. We had 96% of our accelerated testers comply with that requirement. When you look across the region was only at 93% and the state of Texas was only at 89%. So the good news is our kids are making that commitment to take end of course exams at middle school, and then they are following through with those requirements to take a college level entrance exam in high school. This next section, this is our district graduation profile. It looks at how many students are graduating from our district under each different type of graduation program. At the bottom, it also breaks down some of our demographics, our special education graduates, our economically disadvantaged graduates, our emergent bilingual graduates, those that are at risk, and then of course our CTE completers. We had a total of 426 graduates for the 2020-2021 school year, and 100% of them met their graduation that year. Okay. Next slide. On the next slide, you can look at our 4, 5, and 6-year longitudinal graduation rate. So these are the students that maybe did not graduate on cohort, and it tracks them throughout the years to see when they do actually complete. So after 4 years, after 5 years, after 6 years, it's looking at how our students are progressing. The next slide is our college, career, and military readiness. When we look at our students, we look at how we are preparing them to leave Canutillo. The 2021 annual graduates, 58.9% of them met college and career readiness standards. That was post-COVID, so we did have some, there were some hiccups and some bumps along the way. When you look down the line, you can see the different criteria that students met in order to be considered college ready. Military enlistment was not collected for the 2020-2021 school year. It was not collected for 21-22. It is being brought back into accountability with the 2023 accountability year. Many of our students meet their CCMR criteria by being college ready, either through taking TSI assessments, which is the Texas Success Initiative, which also includes ACT, SAT performance. Many of our students, especially our early college, they earn those points, that criteria, by earning their associate's degree before they leave high school. A lot of our students at our traditional high school also earn that college and career readiness through taking advanced courses such as dual credit. And then we also have our CTE students who complete level 1 or level 2 certificates before they graduate from our district. Next one. All right. When we look at our enrollment in post-secondary institutions, the Higher Education Coordinating Board in Texas tracks where students go when they leave our high schools. This graphic shows that the percentage of students that leave us and then they enroll in a 4-year Texas public university. So students that leave to go to New Mexico, or they go to Colorado, they go to Arizona, those students aren't tracked, but rather the ones that stay within Texas. So for the 2020 graduating class, we had 106 of our students stayed in Texas at a 4-year university. 65 of them went to a 2-year public university, and then there were 251 of them that were not found. And so usually what that means is they either left the state for college or they went straight into the workforce. And then they also do not track students that go to private universities. So we had about 22 of them that we believe went into private universities. Section 5 focuses on violent or criminal incidents. At our campuses, we had a total of 10 incidents last year that fell under the violent or criminal events. They occurred on 3 different campuses. This kind of just summarizes those specific events and what they fell under and which campuses they occurred at. This next one, this is our PEAMS financial reporting. This is a breakdown between what we spend in our general fund and all funds per student, and it compares it to what the state of Texas spends per student at their level. It's a very hard, small graphic to read. So hopefully your copies, you can see it a little bit better. One of the last sections, these are our House Bill 3 board goals that are adopted by the district. In reading, our goal is that by June of 2027, 70% of our students will meet grade level For the 21-22 school year, we are at 56%. In mathematics, our goal is that 70% of our third graders will meet grade level or above by June of 2027. For the 21-22 school year, we were at 47% in meeting that goal. And lastly, in college and career readiness, our goal is that 88% of our high school graduates will be considered college and career ready. At the end of the 2021 school year, we were at 58.9%. The information that's been presented to you will also be posted online. There are also individual TAPER reports, Texas Academic Performance Reports, for each campus within the school district that will be posted online. At this time, thank you so much, and we are now open for any questions.
Any questions?
Sorry, let me go to my
Okay.
page. I took notes as I was going.
So, my first question is from the slide where we're looking at district academic growth for English language arts, mathematics, and all grades. Did the percentages of approval meets and masters change from one year to the next? Because I know sometimes those percentage requirements change. So did they change? Not for this year. Okay. So we are currently in a change year. We have a new test this year. We have some new formatting. We're now online. So we will have new standards set for next school year. Perfect. Because I know that skews the data a little bit, so, or sometimes a lot. On one of the first slides where we were looking at approaches, meets, and masters, you did mention that we are working on increasing those meets and masters scores. Could you specify anything in particular that we're doing to pull those kids up into those categories from the approaches? Yes, definitely. So there's a lot of strategic work being done by our curriculum and instruction department on leveraging the different tools that we have to provide students with additional opportunities for acceleration in their learning. So we do a lot of data digs. Every time that we give either a local assessment or even an interim assessment, which is one of the state tests, we dig through that data and we look for students that are struggling. And then we take that, and schools are providing additional supports. They're providing access to whether it's during the day supports, interventions, after school acceleration, during our upcoming spring break. Intercession, thank you so much. During intercession, we will also be providing some additional support for those students. I'm sure Ms. Ariano might be able to add a little bit more.
Yeah, so they are, just like Ms. Harrison said, some of the things we're working on, in particular with math, because that was the struggling from last year. In partnership with Region 19, we're working with 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade math teachers to unpack the units 1 through 10. We meet every month with via Zoom, and they unpack standards for every unit. And based on the interim, we're seeing the growth. And so that's been a huge component. We also are recipients of the Strong Foundations Framework, Math Instructional Framework. So have that completed in 2 months. So we've been working with the district with that. We just received the Literacy Framework grant, so we'll be working with that. And then our RSSP grant, we're really focusing in the professional learning communities specific to math and content. And how do you differentiate between what a strong PLC looks like and should look like specific to math. With reading, we do have the reading academies, and so that's not left unnoticed, but our focus was math.
May I piggyback, Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Quick question. What is for Cantillo ISD? How do we monitor the instruction that's happening in the classroom? Because we could have everything set in place. Are there mandatory walkthroughs that you have for administration? And do we look for tier 1 instruction? Because I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, we do. Dr. Kearney, we have a team that goes to the campuses and we do rounds and provide feedback to the principal. We visit all grade levels and kind of calibrate with principals, APs. We work with Region 19 as well for the observation and feedback to have that coaching session on the Tier 1 instruction. We actually have one scheduled tomorrow. So, we are focusing the year on providing that feedback based on the Tier 1 instruction.
And are administrators and the leadership team required to be in the classrooms a certain amount of time throughout the week?
Are you mean like central office leadership?
No, the campus leadership.
Campus leadership, yes.
Yeah.
We have given them a minimum number of walkthroughs to complete.
Okay.
Sometimes that goal is met, and sometimes it's exceeded. Sometimes it's not quite met. But we do monitor the number of walkthroughs that they do complete, as well as their observations and all of that, to make sure that teachers are getting the feedback that they need for the instruction.
And then just another quick caveat, and you knew I was going to ask questions on this, right? But are teachers required to post the TEAC that they're teaching for that day on the board? So when anybody's doing a walkthrough, they're able to look it up and see what the kids should be, what the teacher should be teaching, and the kids should be learning?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, first, I'm actually going to piggyback back onto Ms. Borrego now. In regard to that, I'm wondering whether or not we are sticking to lesson plans like glue, or are we allowing our teachers to be flexible with their lessons, where if they need to reteach or recap on something and it's not part of their original lesson plan for that day, are we being sticklers to that, or are we letting our teachers do what they need to do inside the classroom to make sure that those kids are getting those foundational skills down?
We allow them that flexibility to do what needs to be done based on their individual students. But yeah, we have them planned together as PLCs, but we also have them monitoring their data so that they'll know exactly how to adjust and what they need to do in order to support their students.
Perfect, I appreciate that. I think sometimes we get so focused on the data that it's all about the test. The test is coming up, we've got to get our data, that we don't have enough time to actually implement what we need to implement to get the data where we need it to be. So I think that's really important.
And one more, I promise, and this is it. We use TRS.
Yes.
Are teachers using the IFD to plan? Okay, perfect.
And they use ITEACs. ITEACs and
okay, I just think the IFD is so critical in the delivery of instruction.
Can you please explain your acronym?
Instructional focus document.
Okay.
Yes, IFD is an instructional focus document, and it's really the TEAC. It explains the TEAC and how it should be taught. You're welcome, sir.
Mr. Sher?
The teachers are.
Okay. Finished? Yes. My name is Harrison. Thank you. I do have a question. For 2020, 2021, we have 100% rate of graduates. My question is 100%?
So it's of that reported group, right? So we still had some students that may have fallen into the 5-year plan or the 6-year plan, but the way it's reported on paper, it's looking at of those graduates, it breaks it down of those 150 graduates, what they graduated with, under what diploma, what
So
for the STEM students, what type of diploma they earned.
My question is, what is the kind of follow-up that we do for the ones who did not meet the graduation? And another one, is this only for Canutillo High School? Is this includes Northwest Early College as well?
This includes Northwest Early College as well. So I feel a little ill-prepared to answer that question from the campus perspective, because I do look at the district data.
Is the principal from that campus here?
What was the question, Ms. Trout?
What is the rate if all of them from Northwest Early College, they graduated that year? It's 100%, it's not what kind of follow-up we've given to the ones who did not graduate.
Well, I don't want to speak for the principal, but I do know that Dr. Reyes and the Student Support Services really tries hard to bring them back for the Opportunity Academy so that those students who did not graduate come back. So I know that they have that in place to address, and it's a little bit more flexible. I don't know if you're familiar with the Opportunity Academy, to make sure it can accommodate the reason why they didn't graduate and whatever it might be, household, work, anything like that.
There's always a follow-up.
There's always a follow-up.
And this number does include the summer graduates as well. So it includes everybody that graduated through August of that school year. And so I mean, in my experience, when I was on a campus, there was planning done with those students to kind of come up with, you're this many credits away from graduating. What are we going to do? How are we going to get you there? So I know that still goes on. I just unfortunately don't know all the details.
Hopefully you could put it in the Thursday packet and you can answer that because it's very important to us, I guess. And another question for both campuses as well. I would like to know how many students join the military, even if it's not required, why not? Are we promoting military since I just wanted to know what is the reason why the kiddos, they didn't join in the military.
So there is work being done between TEA and the military, the government organization. There was some mishaps with sharing that information, so they are working on it. This year brings back, there's a process that we can go through to report our students who do go into the military. But that was more of a TEA thing. I don't know if federal, sorry, thank you.
It's coming back.
Yeah, it's coming back. Because now there is a form that we can submit, but we won't see that in our accountability for another 2 years.
Another 2 years. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, I have two, quick ones. So you had mentioned that if they're part of the accelerated testers, they are required to take the ACT or SAT. What happens if they don't take those?
We lose points in our accountability. So, oftentimes you see, when a student and their parents are in 7th grade, they're like, yeah, I want to take Algebra 1. Plans change, priorities change. We make every effort to bring those students in to take that ACT or SAT. We offer school day ACT, we offer school day SATs. We provide them with, access to testing on Saturdays. But as of right now, there is not a student, I don't want to say punishment, but, they still graduate, they still move on. It's just more the school and the district who kind of lose that data.
Do we pay for those, or are they required to pay for it? Just wondering if it's funded.
Yeah, it is funded. It's fully funded.
Okay.
So those school day ACT and SATs, we pay for that as a district. And then most of the students who maybe test on a Saturday, we provide them with waivers.
Perfect. And then my last question has to do with the college and career military readiness. Do you think that we are scoring lower than Region 19 in the state because our meets and our master's levels are so low? For people, I think, who don't understand what approaches, meets, and masters means, approaches is usually that they're a year behind, correct? Meets is that they're on grade level, and masters is above. So do you think that has something to do with it because our meets and masters are lower than the approaches?
From my perspective, I think sometimes it has to do with what the campus is really able to do, right? So one of the ways to meet a CCMR requirement is you have to have both components. You have to take a TSI in math and a TSI in English language arts. So we have a lot of students who maybe they took it and passed it in English language arts, but they were never successful in math. So part of it, and they have the ability, but sometimes those tests are just a little bit of a different skill set. So when you take Algebra 1 as a freshman, now you're taking this other, this math assessment as a senior. Sometimes there's things that can be done there to support them. I know that we are working with both campuses. I know that Northwest is very strong. They offer a lot of boot camps, a lot of opportunities for testing, and we are trying to kind of transfer that practice to Canutillo High School. I know that next week they're getting ready to do some boot camps for TSI to capture some of those students that maybe have half the piece but not the full piece. Additionally, I know that Ms. Andrews works very hard to make sure that there are plenty of CTE pathways available for students who maybe are going to go directly into the workforce. And I know that this year was particularly hard because that was still that tail end of COVID. So already when we look at our projection for this year, we're well above that.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm really impressed.
Okay, no problem. I guess if there's no other questions, I do want to thank staff. There's always room for improvement, but the hard work that has been done shows, and we appreciate the hard work from staff and our students.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I believe the next item is going to go to consent. And does that have to be read in the record, or we just move it to consent?
You're moving item 4B to the consent agenda.
Okay, so we're going to be moving item 4B to the consent agenda, and that will allow us to go to Dr. Jarvis. That will take us to the next item, which is consent. Wait, not consent. Go ahead.
Item 5A, I'm sorry, I don't need to read 4B into the record, correct?
Yeah, 4B will be moving on to consent agenda, and now we'll be on 5A.
Okay. Item 5A, discussion and possible action to engage Canutillo Harden Montoya LLP as bond counsel for Canutillo ISD.
Dr. Jarvis.
Hey, Mr. Castillo, come on up. I let Mr. Cantu, he's in UT along with the Stanford Law, but he's also just solely does public finance. Does public finance. So there's one or two law firms in the state that do that. I had them in San Antonio when I was there presenting for AASA. And again, nothing against Paul Brady, but I've never met Norton Fulbright, never met the partners, been here 10 years, had individual personal touch. And for me, again, we're going into, yes, our 2 bonds failed, but we're going into hopefully another bond cycle, and I'd like to change firms to Mr. Cantu and his firm. But he's here to answer any questions that the board has.
I do have a question, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask a little bit about you. I mean, I know that you work in a lot of school districts, but I see one of the persons that working for you, this Martina Hinojosa. Is she related with the Hinojosa, Estrada Hinojosa?
Not to my knowledge, no. She's originally from Victoria County, out of Corpus Christi. Like I said, if she was related to the Hinojosas and from Estrada Hinojosa, we would know about it. So there's no relation there.
And I see that you have a very successful members here from different school districts. So what is your strength point here? I would like to know.
I think, our business model, first a little bit about myself personally. My name is Arnoldo Cantu. As Dr. Galanis mentioned, originally graduated from Stanford Law School. Before that, undergrad at UT Law School, undergraduate. And before that, I was a student on the border at PSJA ISD, which is on the other end of the Texas-Mexico border. I started my career at Martin Rose Fulbright, which is your current bond counsel firm. At that time, I got a chance to do a little bit of work with Canutillo ISD myself, so I am familiar with finance and the district. When we started Canutillo Harden Montoya LLP, it was me and a team of other lawyers who, even though our firm is new, every attorney has at least 10 years of experience in corporate finance. I myself was previously a partner at Lockwood along with several of my other partners. We started Canutillo Harden Montoya because we saw an opening, a need in the industry that we work in for minority-owned business enterprises. That, I think, is one of our strong ones. I believe you mentioned that the value statement, diversity, it's important for us to mirror the demographics of our clients that we serve. And when we say mirror, we mean community involvement, we mean constant engagement, and we also mean that the professionals that stand at the dais before you, or in my case sit, maybe I'm at the wrong podium, are representative of the body that you serve, your constituents, your students. And that has been a point of strength for our firm. Most recently, we were hired at Austin ISD to be part of their $2.4 billion bond package. And we've currently working on 13 bond elections for the May cycle, and we expect that number to grow. So in the 1 year that we've started as our own firm, we've managed to outrank some of the larger national firms that work in this industry that we're in.
So, and I congratulate you. And a question for Dr. Galaviz. I do understand that you wanted to change the law firm that we had before, but didn't we have to submit this one to RFQ? As a transparency, whatever the gentleman says here is very good and valuable, but I don't have nothing to compare it with. And we didn't have the opportunity to see through an RFQ. I mean, someone else who's interested in this will be transparent for the community for us as well.
Consulted with council. I don't have to go to the board. Again, I've made recommendations, but this ultimately Mr. Cantu works for CISD.
I just found it right now when he was saying that this position doesn't need to go through RFQ, legal?
Legal counsel is not required to be hired through an RFQ. You do have to evaluate the qualifications of the people that you're considering as lawyers. I know Mr. Cantu personally, he's qualified. That's not an issue, but that's a completely board and administration decision.
Something that you said that you're related with Canopia, which is very valuable. Thank you so much, I appreciate that.
Any other questions?
So just so we can clarify what this would entail, what does a bond counsel entail so that the community can know what that would include?
Sure. A bond counsel is a very specialized attorney that is separate and apart from your general counsel. The general counsel, as Mr. Blanco will say, is sort of the bread and butter. When a school district wants to enter the financial markets to issue a bond or to find out any other possibility to borrow money for whatever project allowed by state law, our job as bond counsel is to work with administration, to present information to the board, and to work with the district's other consultants, including the financial advisor, to craft a financing structure that's legal and prepare documents to eventually lead to a successful closing. That also includes presenting your transcript of documents to the Attorney General. In Texas, school district bonds need to be reviewed and go through an administrative review process with the Attorney General's office. So as far as legal counsel work goes, that's probably the most visible point that you'll see a bond lawyer, right? In our experience, we find that the attorney-client relationship should move more toward an advisory, trusted advisor type of role. So the district also has continuing obligations with respect to their debt. That includes your annual disclosure reports, your audits, and certain tables that need to go to federal depositories for public information. We like to be involved in that to the extent possible. The other aspect is federal tax compliance. Your bonds are issued as tax-exempt debt. And because they're tax-exempt, investors are interested in offering lower rates, willing to pay lower rates than what you normally find in the commercial markets. That requirement, that tax-exempt status also requires continuing obligations with the IRS. And that's another one of our strengths, is that we have a dedicated, it's called Section 103 of the municipal tax code that deals specifically with municipal bonds. We currently our partner, the other half of, 1/3 of Cantu Harding Montoya is Adam Harding, who's currently the vice chair of both the national and the Texas committee, Bar Association tax committee. So he's recognized as a national figure in tax for municipal bonds, including school districts. Again, it's just, I like to say it's a small sliver of the big pie that a school district and you as elected officials need to deal with. But when that time comes, you need to understand that, when you have that many zeros, aside from on your bond offerings, it's important to have someone that's with you closely, and that's where we come in. It's a small piece of the pie, but it's a big impact.
Mr. Rodriguez? Who was our, Dr. Rodriguez, who was our bond counsel for the previous bond?
Norton O'Brien.
And were they for the previous one before that as well? We used them both times?
Yes, ma'am.
So my question has to do with, you would be working with us prior to the bond and afterwards?
Yes.
And you would be working hand in hand with a bond committee as well? That works, Dr. Young?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions? Not, I'll accept a motion.
I move that we take action to engage with Cantu Harding Montoya LLP as Bond 32 Counsel for Canutillo ISD.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Lupe, can we take a vote?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Sinibat?
Yes.
Ms. Trout?
Yes.
And Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
That will take us to the next item.
Next item is item 5B, discussion and possible action on building a 21st century learning experience by engaging parents and strengthening student literacy with bookmarked.school.
Yeah, I sent a slide yesterday to the board. I got it last night. Spoke to Mr. Stephen. Can you just put slide 8, please? You come on up, Mr. Stephen. Yeah, go ahead.
So I actually met Stephen at TASA conference, and part of not only the parent engagement, it's also giving the parents a choice. So it's a platform that we were pilot. So if you want to just give a little brief overview and then see what other questions, but I think this would hit the spot in regards to allowing parental choice.
Yeah, thank you. As you mentioned, we're seeking to do a pilot with the district. We're early stages in things, but we want to get as much voice from districts as possible on the types of software we should be building for students around parent engagement, around books. So essentially, where the idea came from was a superintendent in Texas that was challenged with how do we get parents more engaged in the reading process with kids at home. So that is the problem that we're looking to solve technologically, making it easier for our librarians to manage that process, because I heard yesterday 130 kids show up in the library, all check out books, and it's impossible for them to actually manage that process. But more importantly, what this software will do will put parents in the forefront of this and allow parents to have choice and voice around what their kids are reading, and most importantly, we think it's engaging parents in the reading process. So knowing what your kids are reading and giving overviews and questions and ways to engage in conversation at home around books that your kids are reading. So essentially, we're looking for your input to, because we know that the state is looking at what parent engagement looks like around reading, And we want to get ahead of that and involve you in that process.
He's also, we have 2 librarians out there. Like we met with our librarians yesterday who wanted to ask questions. So they're there, they listened to the presentation. Go ahead, as far as I see your mind going.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually curious to know what the librarians thought of the presentation. Would you mind speaking, Ms. Cocomartis?
Well, it was really fast.
Okay.
It was like a last minute thing, so I had 30 minutes that I could make it for. I'm not sure I have a real opinion yet.
Okay.
I
Thank
feel
you
like,
for your honesty.
yeah. We are careful when we develop our collections, and we have processes that we do, and I don't know, don't have enough information.
Mr. Rodriguez?
You want me to? Oh, do you have a
I'd like
question?
to,
Okay.
yeah. So I got the opportunity today to not do real quick, in my school district where I work, I got to meet with Steve and our librarians, our head of our librarian. I got to be a part of it. It was a nice group, about an hour. It's a pilot, so it's not gonna be the entire district. We are going to do it, in the district that I work in. This gives parents the opportunity to participate with their kids and know what they're doing, what books they're checking out, what they're reading, and we're going to be able to be a part of creating it. It's not something that we're going to adopt forever. It's something that we're going to help them create, and it could be 1 school or 3 schools, or eventually we add more. Correct?
Or yes, or not.
Yeah, or not.
Or
Or
not.
not. We may say this is not for us, and we just piloted at 1 school. But the great thing about it is that it's going to help engage parents in the learning of their child. Whether, hey, you checked out this book today? I like that part. I'm a reader. Hey, you checked out this book today, Brianne? Why did you check it out at the dinner table, wherever, have conversation? Or, you know, that's not a book I want you to check out. Or let's talk about the book that you checked out. I mean, there's so many conversations. And then there's parental controls that will be a part of that they're trying to develop, so that parents can say, I don't want my kid reading that, but it's a parent decision, not an us decision. So I love that. Did I say that all after my hour of training?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, we're still very much trying to figure this out.
Yes.
We don't have a full solution, but we're trying to get ahead of it and try to come up with a solution that works for districts across the state. What might work for you might not work for somebody else. And so developing software that allows for choice is what we're ideally trying to do. So
first of all, I want to say thank you for trying to get ahead of the curve with this, because I think it's so important. If anybody knows my story, I'm all about library books and parental rights with knowing what your kids have access to. So I'm wondering if you can explain some of those aspects of how you're thinking it would work for the parents selecting what they are comfortable and are not comfortable with their children checking out. How in depth is that going to get? Because, for example, my daughter loves to read graphic novels, and if it was up to her, that's all she would check out from the librarian. And it shouldn't be just the librarian's job to say, Bethany, why are you always checking out graphic novels? Right? Let's just expand our horizon. So, what all will that include?
What it'll include, we don't know.
Okay.
However, one of the things that we have been thinking about is, because we will know the books that your kids are checking out, so making suggestions specifically to them on what other books they should be reading or might be interested in. And could go as far as what are their friends reading and what are they interested in, to create community and conversation. You know, it's not just about at home too, it's with their friends. There is nothing out there that allows them to do that.
Can I?
Yeah.
Just So real quick, we've been having a lot of conversation. My mind just keeps going around and around in regards to I wish, as we know, if you're on grade level at 3rd grade, and I wish probably I was on grade level then, to continue to have that passion to read. This past year, I've talked about it for years to actually read a book a month, and I'm actually doing it this year. This is a book I'm reading right now, and I'm also reading the Bible, and so the goal for me having ADHD is how to get more. I wish my parents were more like, okay, what book are you reading? Have you read? And that's what I try to do with my nieces and nephews, because I know the value of it, and it's like, hey, let's go to Barnes and Nobles and I'll pay whatever book you want. Just figure out something, because once you spark that passion, I think if that would have happened in my case, I would have been an attorney making big bucks like Steve and but you know, that was my biggest fear, is reading, and to this day that I said I need to get outside of my comfort zone. So like, this is the war against all Puerto Ricans, and it's actually an interesting book, pretty factual based, but trying to, as I've grown both professionally and personally, I've realized that not only do I need to learn more about my history and my community, but I also need to learn about others, and I think that's what will help make society better and grow. And so for me, it's how do we especially engage parents and really spark that, hopefully, so we can have our kids just reading books over summer instead of playing video games. So go ahead.
I have a question for you, sir. This one, between which grade to what grade is included, and how the parents, they're going to be involved in this, how they could participate in this, how they're going to know what kind of a reading their kids, they already checked out, they're going to be notified, they could go to the library. How is this? You said here you're already spreading student literacy, engaging parents, how to engage the parents?
I don't know if I have an answer for you. I mean, nobody's done this before, so that's why we're here, is to collaborate with school districts and figure out how do we engage parents. So involving parents in this process. This isn't just school district and libraries conversation. This will be a conversation amongst everyone of how do we get parents more involved in the conversation around literacy. And so ideally, the parents would download an app on their phone, and when the child goes to the library and checks out a book, it shows up on their phone as an alert or a notification, and they can see exactly the book that they got. It'll show an overview of the book, and in the future, it will give questions specific to that family on that book.
So I do understand this could be an app that the parents, they could have on their phone, and it's going to alert you know what your kid already shut down this book, and then they could have a conversation at home. What are you learning? What are you, did you like it or not, or whatever? But the parents is going to have a knowledge what kind of literature.
Correct.
And reading the kiddos check.
Correct.
So you said from what grade to which grade is this?
It's all grade levels.
All grade levels. We're talking about.
K to 12.
To read to all the way up to high school?
Yeah, K to 12.
I like it. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's good. So they
Well,
can
we
be
hope.
alerted.
Well, I mean, it's not. This isn't an easy feat. It sounds, what I told you sounds easy, but technologically it's complicated.
It's all kind of gender.
And what we're not promising is we're going to have all these things ready for. The idea is build it through from now until the beginning of August, so that we're ready for the new school year in August, and that it would be. So between now and the end of this school year, it will simply be a pilot. There will be specific people, not all parents, specific parents giving us feedback, students giving us feedback, librarians and teachers giving us feedback to make sure the process is right. Also, keeping in mind, we have 10 other districts across the state that will be bringing on board, so we'll be getting feedback from all districts across the state to do something that's specific for Texas.
So then the parents, they could get in contact with the librarians?
Yeah, I mean, we have to set up a process for the pilot. So ideally, we're going to bring a team together. There'll be a core team here, and then we will go to engage community members through the process to get their feedback and bring it back to the development team to create it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I have two quick questions. What would be the price for us, or what? How much money?
Price for you?
Gracias.
So expensive. A couple of burritos and tacos for me. That's about it. No, there's no charge.
Lady I told you about, yeah. I told them, hey, there's gonna be
No, for the cost of the pilot or to be involved, there's zero cost to you. It would be resources, a little bit of resources, but we don't envision that being a lot of resources, only because when feedback is given, then we got to go do it, take a couple weeks, and then we come back and say, okay, try that out. So it's not going to work just out of the gate. There'll be a lot of bumps and hiccups along the way, but that's why we need that feedback.
Okay. And one more thing. I was listening to our librarians, and they said that the presentation was so fast, they don't have any input on it yet. When can you organize another meeting where they can actually have the time to see it correctly?
100%. We ideally, if the board moves forward with it, we would bring together the team and figure out, and get all that feedback. And it wouldn't be me. I go fast. My team would do that process.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I guess these questions would be more for administration. So if we choose to go forward with this, which I love the idea, would we start off with one campus, one grade level? What are we thinking?
I know we're talking three.
Three campuses.
Campuses, elementary, our high school.
And then from there, in order to figure out to formulate the plan for our district, you said each district's going to be different. Are we going to form a committee of parents that are part of those campuses, come up with that plan, or?
That's a great question. You can do that. I mean, like I said, he just came. It's
right.
Kind of like
blank slate.
Right.
Yeah, blank
slate.
I think that would be a great idea to have the input. What would you like to see on the app as a parent? How would you like the information? Of course, everybody's going to have different ideas, but I think that would be great if we could have a committee to put that information together for the district for that pilot.
If I might, do we need approval?
Yeah, I think just to authorize administration to move forward since you said that.
And the other question that I wanted to do, I believe you want board input, right? Like this is just.
We want input from everyone and from all groups.
So I'm sure our staff would develop some type of thing, but if you have any input, because the more we develop, or you all develop and we're just giving input, the better the product will be. So
and think of it more informal, where when you're empowered to give input, we will create a process that we don't have to get together in a meeting and give input. There'll be ways that we'll be able to set up input streams to be able to get back to us to understand what it is that you're looking for, and we match it up against everybody else of what they're saying, so we know what to do.
With that, make a motion.
I move that we partner with Bookmark Ed to start this pilot for Canopy ISD.
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any comment? I know we're going into consent agenda next from the students. No, we'll move over to vote. Any comments?
I do have a comment, if I may.
If that's okay with the board? Yeah. Go ahead.
My name is Sean Leggett. I'm the ELAR coordinator here at CISD. Hearing your talk, my primary concern is that it seems like it's very much a startup that's not well established yet. I have two concerns in regards to that. When we're dealing with student information and their elections as far as the books that they're choosing, as librarians, we have to be very sensitive
to the needs and interests of the students, and also act to protect their privacy. And I see an issue here that if we move the software forward too quickly, we do not have the information, the capability to protect their information well. This could be an issue for them in that regard. Another issue I have, or one idea that I think about, is when we think about engaging our parents in the reading habits of our students. That's building a community of readers is a very human practice, right? It requires us to read together, to engage in books together. The app, I don't see it creating that moment, right? I think this is also important for our teachers. When we're asking our students to become lifelong readers, they have to see lifelong readers in their teachers, they have to see lifelong readers in their parents. The app may provide some information to inform parents about what their children are reading, but it's no replacement for engaging in that reading with your children. And so I would say if it would require a financial commitment, the payout would not be as powerful as if we could create a community of readers with our parents, our teachers, and our students. So on those points, that's what I would like the board to consider when we think about building a vision for reading in our district. Thank you.
I think you brought up great points when we talked about parent engagement, and then you mentioned about the student engagement. How can you create those questions where students can engage their fellow students? So I think this is just all input where we could develop.
Yeah, it doesn't replace community. It doesn't replace conversations. It should enhance and provide tools for parents that don't read. I'm dyslexic and ADHD. I read my first book last year. Well, I had it read to me, to be honest. And my daughter is a ferocious reader, and she reads books thick and a lot. I don't know what she's reading, and I can't talk to her about it. This would change that. And as far as the startup piece goes, so this is my third company. My last company was an education technology company, which was focused on parent engagement. We were well funded, and we sold that in 2019. This company is well funded, and we have money to invest in this project and see it through. So financially, we're in very good shape right now.
Any other questions? Can you pull the vote?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Mendoza? Sorry. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Cibertal?
Yes.
Ms. Straub?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. That will take us to the next item, which is the consent agenda.
Item 6, consent agenda.
Mr. Chef?
Just real quick, and we did, we're going to be adding item 4B. So, yes.
Mr. Chair, I would like to pull an item from the consent agenda.
What item is that?
6B.
6B. And did you reach out to staff and ask questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she on Wednesday, but I got off the phone thinking Ms. Trout was okay with it, the responses. Because I've never received any rebuttal or so.
Well,
right now.
I would like to send a little bit more, Dr. Galaviz, information.
I understand that. I'm just saying with the constraint. However, today I received a text from Ms. Barnes, given late. She didn't want to bother me, and I respect that. Late last night, so I don't mind pulling 6B to talk about CH because it is, it's purchasing, it's money, and policy. So I'm okay if the board's okay with that. Come out and talk about it. It is the first reading, so we have another opportunity y'all can look at it, read it, amend it, so.
What I would recommend is if those are questions, I believe you shared Ms. Barnes' questions yesterday.
No, but she had a question about CH, this one this morning.
No, I'm talking about Ms. Trout.
Yeah.
On those questions, were they formal questions and then, or was it a comment? I guess, how do we frame as board members at the youth and report, like how to ask those questions that way? We could get those on Monday or before the Monday before email so the full board has it. And then that way we know. So moving forward, you did the process on the consent.
Yes, I did.
So I'm okay with holding the item. The question is that I would prefer the follow-up be in writing as well as shared with the board. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, if I may, and I appreciate that, Dr. Galvez. I was extremely sick this last weekend, so I fell behind, and then I didn't want to message you too late last night, so I do appreciate that. I will let Ms. Trout go first. She was
We're pulling the item. Is there any other items pulled?
Oh.
So that way we could vote on the consent agenda. If there's no items being pulled, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of B?
I move. I second.
Was that, okay, so I got a motion and a second. Can we report, Rupa?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Simental?
Yes.
Ms. Trump?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
So that will take us to the only item left, which is on consent.
Consent agenda is 6B.
Can you show the policy? See it.
Item 6B, approval of proposed revision to local policy C8, purchasing acquisition, first reading.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm talking about exemptions as a board approval. I would like to talk about the paragraph number 3 that it says purchase made pursuant to interlocal agreements previously approved by the board, included but not limited to purchases made through a cooperative purchasing program. What I do understand, it is all the purchases unlimited and as well a contracts, then you're not going to bring it before the board.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. These are the exemptions from board approval. So if it fits one of these 6 criteria, it will not be coming to the board.
Well, I think as we need to pay special attention in this because I'm pretty sure that we need to be transparent with the community, and the community needs to know every purchase that we already set up the limit of whatever it would be, $50 or $100,000. But I'm pretty sure, and I do understand that that's why we're here as a trustees. That's why we're sitting here, to be accountable with the community. Because I'm not agree that this purchasing and cooperative purchasing and purchases go over there without us to know. I would like to be brought into the attention of the board here so we could know, because it's unlimited, could be thousands, could be $1 million without us to know. And I'm pretty sure the community wanted to know that. And I think I see a problem with this, so if it's possible, I would like to make a motion to strike number 3.
Can we ask for questions first?
Yes.
And then
Yes, Mr. Sheriff. In other words, why he sees the urge to bring it right now, that he needs to do this, to purchase unlimited and all the contracts unlimited without report this to the board. As well, there is an amount here that he wanted to for $100,000, which we already awarded after COVID $50,000 less than 18 months. He doubled the amount to $100,000. I would like to know his reasons.
Well, as I said on the phone, Ms. Trump,
Yes.
which you seemed surprised to and seemed okay with, that I talked to MP that what we will do is every item above the 50,000, we'll put it in a list, so part of the financials, so the board will know what we're spending over 50,000. Our 100,000 that we calculated with a $72 million, is what, less than 1%? And again, as you said, everything's going up, inflation's going up, so we're just trying to be more expedient, more efficient in getting into the campuses faster. Our last 6 years won awards for our financing practices, our purchasing practices, at zero finding in our audits. So we have been prudent physically to the community. Our healthy fund balance added since I've been here, but we're in the black, not in the red. So again, it's not to be transparent, because that's not the intent. The intent is to get to the campuses faster. We have a co-op process that's already approved by TEA, already approved by our government, and that's what we use. So Ms. Foley, Ms. McCarthy, if you want to add on why? I guess the big question is why.
I have a question on clarification on something.
But I don't finish yet. I don't finish yet. I have the floor.
Well, she.
No, but I didn't understand something you said. Yeah, I just want to clarify. Because you said it could go up to $1 million.
Yes.
Because it says 100,000 is the threshold.
Yes.
50,000 is the threshold now.
Yeah, yes.
And then we want to vote to 100, but not $1 million, right? After 100,000.
No. What I do understand there is another paragraph in that one.
Oh, okay.
But the paragraph.
Administration, let them answer to the question.
Okay, so you have two different questions.
Yes.
So on the first page of CH, the first paragraph starts off with an increase from the 50,000 to 100,000. Okay, so that's the first thing for you to consider. The second one is on the second page. It says board approval contracts above 100,000. So this is in addition to nothing under 100,000 would be coming to the board. But if it's over 100,000 and it meets one of these 6 criteria, it will also not come to the board.
Yes. I do have a question to piggyback. Is there other districts that have this policy? Is there?
I believe that Dr. Galaviz got this from Austin ISD.
Austin ISD.
That there's others. We're not inventing a policy, right? Okay.
I don't see, I do understand 100,000 is needed, it's said. But I want to go back again to paragraph number 3, that it says, but not limited to the purchase made through a cooperative purchasing program. That's what I see, that there's no limit in the purchasing and contracts. That's the one that I have a problem with. It's not clear. That's what it says. This is the one that could be from 100s to 1000s to could be a million.
Is there any other questions?
That's I would like to have his answer, Mr. Chair.
What's the question?
The question is why he would like to put this right now. He needs it for some reason.
Why do we need it? Why do we talk about what I said on the phone? It gets to the campuses faster. I'm talking to Mr. Vasquez and the buses. You're talking things that buy regularly that we're already under contract. We go through a co-op. Yeah, that's all. It's brought to you, to the board. If you want to approve it, you approve it. If you don't, it's our suggestion. 50 to 100. And I saw Austin ISD. I said, wow, that's pretty cool. And that's trust. And based on that, based on our awards, based on our zero finding in our audits, it's like, you know what? Why not?
I'm going to say that from the finance side, the biggest difference is time. So if something, if you're in agreement with what the contract would have been, the difference for finance is that we'll be able to process it faster. Because the lead time, I'm going to say the deadline for the March meeting, we're already in the February, but the deadline for the March meeting has already passed. So there's a long lead time in order to get something ready for a board presentation.
Any other questions?
I do.
Ms. Barnes?
So, I am in agreement with going from 50 to 100 because I do believe it expedites it. We do that in scroll, but am not in agreement with the second one, because anything over 100,000 does need to come to the board. I do think we owe that to our community. I think this is very broad, the second part, contracts over 100,000, but I do believe that going from 50 to 100 is great, because I deal with that all the time, and we do need to get those materials to the campuses, and it does make things easier and faster. But I definitely do have a problem, Dr. Galaviz, with the second part on that. I think after $100,000, we need to look at it and we need to discuss it.
You want us to cross that out? I guess that's...
Yes, I'm very much in favor for going to 50 to 100, the first one. 50 is nothing. 50,000 is nothing when you're, and even in a small school district like ours, it's nothing. 100,000 is good. I think it's smart, and it helps all these people get what the schools need. But yeah, I do not agree with that second page.
All right, we'll come back.
So I also had questions on number 4 and 5 as well. So contracts that were previously authorized by the board. So if we had a contract with a company for a certain amount for last year, are you saying that that contract would not be presented to us again? It would just automatically be renewed?
Yes, automatically be renewed if we use them.
It has to,
Go ahead.
it would have to be in the terms of the contract to allow for renewal, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
I personally think that that's a kind of an open door to wasted spending, because just because something we're using it currently, we need to reevaluate the things that we're using each year to make sure that the money that we're spending is actually showing improvement in our district. So having something on auto renew to just go ahead and be spent every year, I don't think that that's very fiscally responsible.
We do it every year because C&I, we put together a called VA, local VA, where we have to present to the board all our resources, what we're spending, are we getting our most bang for the buck? So that's done already.
And that will continue to be done?
Yes, that will, that's policy.
Okay.
So we have to do that.
But then we have no say from the board whether or not those things would be renewed?
No, you do, because if you see that we're just spending over and over and we're not getting the bang for the buck, we're not getting that's the checks and balance, if you will. Present to the board all our, what we're using, who we're using it, what contract we have. Question.
Okay, that makes sense. And then contracts, amendments, and change orders to the extent permitted by law and policy. So if things are amended in a contract, it would just automatically go through without us being part of that process.
Well, we do contact legal as part of that process. So you can put it in the board packet anytime there's an amendment. You know, again, sometimes our contract is with, I was just saying, I don't want to leave 4 words in my head. It's a professional development. And want to keep going because we know their quality, and say they do amend, and there's some I don't say trivial, but things that we amend to that we'll let the board know if you want to know, but we're just trying to get resources to our classrooms.
And I do definitely understand that expediting of things. I mean, our campuses need things as quickly as possible, especially things like Leap Forward, things of that sort. But I think maybe we can specify the wording a little bit different, that if there's an amendment or a change within a certain percentage or something along those lines, where, like you said, if it's trivial, then fine, we can go ahead and pass it. But if it's over a certain percentage difference, we should have to discuss it and talk about it to determine whether or not we would like to pass it.
No, that's fine. I mean, many times when I'm trying to amend something, I'm like, Steve, we'll have to get to the board. You have to wait another month.
There are certain things that the administration has to bring to you. In construction contract, there's a limit on a change order. By law, it has to come to you, those come to you. Renewals have to come to you. If the board approves a contract with the company for 3 years, 1 year and 2 annual renewals, when that third renewal is done, they have to bring it back to you. They can't just say, oh, we like them, we'll give them another 10 years. No, that has to come back to you, because you only approve something. If you approve a 1-year contract, the board can't be ignored and the administration just go out and say, well, we like them so much after 1 year, we're going to make it 5 years. They just have to come back to you. So it's not, I don't think that's the intent of that. I think the language is there because there are certain things that the law allows them to change. For example, the contractor said we're going to have 5 people on site. And they called Dr. Galadis and say, hey, we can do it with 4. Are you okay with that? The board doesn't need to know about that. Bruno and the team can say, yeah, we're fine, you guys send us 4 as long as you get the job done within the contract. We're not going to bring that back to the board for approval of that type of a change. There are minor changes that the law allows us to make without having to get the board to approve it.
And just real quick, I do have more questions, but I think we're pretty much in agreement to hold off on it. I do have more questions because for me, going through LSC training, and we'll go through that in a couple months, I think it's how do we start focusing on student outcomes and letting, not have an agenda item where we're having the majority of our discussion on what color of buses we should get and what, I do see some positive with it, but I do have more questions, so we could set that aside if that's okay with the board. And then just real quick, I talked about LSG. We do have our internal audit function and we have our external audit function, but I think just figuring out how to streamline is always beneficial. This was something that was brought from administration, and so the board, from my understanding, we're okay with 100. If I could get a motion to do that, and then go back and do more research on some of the stuff if that's what we're doing, and then have more of a discussion. We could probably do that on team building, but that's my recommendation. So if I could get a motion just to approve.
There's no action to that.
It's just the first reading, so they're just going to bring it back.
It's the first reading.
Okay.
Mr. Rodriguez, but I still have a question. So I would like to see if it's possible, this reading, which is the first one, to scratch the not limited to purchase linked through a cooperative purchasing program. That is not the one that I have problem with. That's the one that is unlimited expenses and unlimited contracts. That's the one that I would like to see if we could scratch that.
What's the question?
The question is, why do we need to have this? And my question is, don't you think that it needs to brought it before the board?
We're in agreement on that. I mean, that's.
Okay, that
I thought
one.
you had a question first.
No, I just wanted to, and if I can make my motion as well, because I have a problem with this reading.
We don't need a motion. It's gonna come back. That's what was.
Okay, then this, sorry, but I just want to be sure. Then this rating that it says, but not limited to purchase made through a cooperative purchasing program, is going to be scratched?
There's going to be a second reading that was discussed earlier. It's going to come back, and from our understanding, our discussion is to scratch that. Administration is going to come back with a recommendation.
Number 3.
They could come back with the same recommendation, and then we could scratch it then, but right now it doesn't have an action, and that's what we're going to be doing at this point.
Okay, so this is my recommendation.
Any other? We're okay? So I guess that takes us to adjournment.
No.
What? Oh, the action item for.
Item 8, discussion and possible action regarding findings and determination of the board related to the resignation of Canutillo Middle School teacher S. Aguilar during contract term.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez, board members, and Mr. Rodriguez. We gave you an update with HR regarding the action that Mr. Aguilar engaged in to abandon his contract. He was asked to provide reasons. No reasons were given. As you know, under TEA and state law, there are time periods when certified teachers can leave the district. It has to be done by permission and consent of the district. In this instance, Mr. Aguilar did not have permission, consent, or any reason that constitutes good cause for him to abandon his contract. So we're asking the board to authorize the administration to notify TEA of the contract abandonment by Mr. Aguilar without good cause or consent by the board. And that will be in the form of a motion.
Do you need a second?
Well, one of y'all has to adopt that and make that.
I make the motion.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Can we pull the board? There's a motion and a second. Lupe, can we pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
No.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Siebenthal?
Yes.
Ms. Trout?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Now that takes us to.
Item 9, adjournment. The meeting was adjourned at
Thank
8:36 p.m.
Thank you all, board. Appreciate work.